Hey everybody watching, before I start the podcast, I'd like to give a super special shout out to all of our viewers who support us over on Patreon. Without your guys' support, it would be so much harder to make this kind of long-term content. If you're new and you like the content, consider going over and supporting us over on Patreon. Links down below. Anyways, with that being said, thank you everybody and enjoy the podcast. See ya!
I love the part when I was like, ah!
Give me a little kamikaze! Give me a little bonsai! Wake up in here!
They're going to the land where the code of the ninjas began.
But I said,
You are not Japanese. I can do it.
Now, for the first time, the true story.
Welcome Japan.
Welcome Japan.
Welcome Japan. Welcome Japan.
Welcome Japan.
Welcome Japan.
Welcome Japan.
Welcome Japan. Welcome Japan. Welcome Japan. Welcome Japan. Welcome Japan.
I'm nothing but a worthless gaijin.
Hey everybody out there on the wonderful YouTube, iTunes, whatever Zors. This is your good old buddy TkyoSam coming to you live from the Japan land, and I am here with number whatever. I don't know what number we're on right now, but we are on the Welcome Japan podcast. And I am joined here today by the beautiful, wonderful, always super fabulous, famous, sorry miss, could you introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name's Anne Crescini.
Anne Crescini, is that your online handle too? People can find you by that?
That's right.
Okay, and I'm joined here with Miss Beautiful, Wonderful, Famous, Super Sparkly, Awesome, Rainbow, Chocolate Covered Drop, Awesomeness, Miss Anne Crescini. And we are here today to talk about the wonderful Japanese prefecture that is known as Fukuoka.
Yeah.
Yay! So, like all the podcasts up until now, we're going to ask Anne some personal questions, then we're going to ask some prefecture questions, and then we're going to ask her some personal tidbits that she's got from that prefecture too. And, yeah, so let's get into it, shall we?
Sure.
So first off, so you already told us your online name, so where are you from, Anne?
I'm from a small town in Virginia in the United States.
Okay.
About 6,000 people in the Inaka, in the country, just like the place I live now. So I'm very comfortable here. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. What's okay? So if you don't mind, I know I can't ask this to women, but feel free not to answer if you don't want to. But how old are you right now?
I'm 42.
Okay. Awesome. You know, you always got to say, I know I shouldn't be asking this before you ask a question like that. You know.
I'm not ashamed. Like one of my friends told me once that aging is a privilege, so I always remember that on my birthday.
Right. I think we all get better. I mean, you know.
That's right. That's right.
We're smarter than we were the year before, hopefully, right?
That's right. Yep.
So how long have you been in Japan, Anne?
Well, I lived first in Kobe for 3 years, from 1997 to 2000, and then I've been now in Kyushu, which is in Fukuoka Prefecture, for 13 years. So a total of 16 years.
Wow, 16 years. You got me beat by 6.
Yeah.
Lucky. So what's your marital status? Are you married? Are you in a relationship? If so, are they Japanese?
Well, I got a wonderful husband. We've been happily married for 18 years. All but 3 of those years have been in Japan. So when we go back, we kind of have reverse culture shock, I think, in our marriage. But he's Filipino American. Actually, he moved to the States when he was 8 years old, and he's a professional photographer. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. You can plug his stuff at the end of this, and people.
Alrighty, I'll do that.
Go buy his stuff, hopefully. Okay, awesome. So how did you? First off, how's your Japanese level? Reading, writing, speaking wise.
I passed level 1 of the Japanese language proficiency exam in 2004.
Okay.
And I think my daily conversational Japanese is fine. I can get around in daily life, no problem.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I guess the question that everybody's wondering is how did you move over? How did you get over to Japan? Why come Japan?
Well, actually, it's actually an interesting story. I wanted to go to China. I was fascinated by China. Yeah, but then I met my husband, and we had this like whirlwind love at first sight kind of romance. Got engaged after 5 weeks of knowing each other. Whoa. And he was going to Japan as an ALT on the JET program, and I figured because I was a total hillbilly from Virginia. I figured Japan and China is pretty much the same thing. So I just decided to go with him, and we lived there in Kobe for 3 years, and we liked it. And then went back to grad school, and just have been here ever since for the last since 2003.
That's awesome. I love hearing stories like that. That's awesome. You're awesome.
Oh, well, that's nice. Thanks.
So I guess, well, 3 reasons could you choose on why you wanted to move to China then, since you wanted to move there originally versus Japan. If you had to pick 3, like simple reasons, why did you want to move to China?
Well, it was actually my first trip overseas. I went on a trip with my church over there, and I just fell in love with the food. Food, I didn't like that, but the people were just so kind, and being a country girl was my first experience ever out of the country, and I was just fascinated by the sights and the sounds and the smells of everything, and I just wanted to live overseas and experience that life, and yeah, it just was just in my blood. I just couldn't get Asia off my mind when I got back from that trip.
I know exactly. I don't know. I mean, I had the same feeling for, like, I don't know. It's just so completely different from the States, right? So it's like
That's right. Yeah.
every day's an adventure kind of thing.
I mean, I never even ate rice or fish until I was in college. So I mean, everything was just a new experience for me.
That's awesome. That's so
Yeah.
cool. So we learned a little bit about Anne now. So why don't we jump into some prefecture questions? So
Sure.
So again, can you just kind of just tell us again, how did you end up going to Fukuoka? I don't know. Wait. Originally, how did you end up going to the prefecture that you're in right now in Fukuoka?
Well, I was in graduate school at Old Dominion University, which is in Norfolk, Virginia.
Okay.
And Norfolk and Kitakyushu, which is where my university is, are sister cities. And Old Dominion and Kitakyushu University, where I teach, are sister schools. So when I was in grad school, I met a teacher who brought a group of students over to my American university, and he told me about the job opening. And so I applied for it, and I got hired. Yeah.
That's awesome. So that means, I guess, currently that you are a university professor or something.
Yeah, I'm an associate professor at the University of Kitakyushu, which is the northernmost city on the island of Honshu.
Oh, wow. Okay. But is that Honshu or Kyushu? I forgot.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you're right. Kyushu, at the base of Honshu. Yeah, sorry, yeah. It's the northernmost city on the island of Kyushu, yeah.
Are they, so how long have you currently lived in Fukuoka for?
I've lived here since 2003 in March. And I lived in the city of Kitakyushu for 10 years, and then I moved to my current city called Munakata in 2014. So I've been here almost 3 years. But in between there, I went back to the U.S. on sabbatical for my work for a year. So I was there with my family from 2014 to 2015 in the summer.
Okay. That's awesome. So okay, so we figured out how you got there and how long you've lived there. So just kind of start with a fluffy question. What food is from Fukuoka? Isn't that miso katsu? No, wait, that's completely wrong. There's nabe. There's some kind of nabe, right?
Well, the two most famous foods are tonkotsu ramen,
Okay.
which is pork bone broth ramen, and hentai roe. It's kind of like a kind of fish roe.
Okay.
Those are the two most famous. People in Kyushu, especially in Fukuoka, are very proud of their tonkotsu ramen. It has a really strong taste, and everyone here is convinced it's the best ramen on the face of the planet, and they won't take any kind of argument about that. So
I know how to start a fight with somebody from Fukuoka now. That's awesome.
That's right.
Your guys' tonkotsu ramen sucks. What'd you say? That's awesome.
That's right.
Okay, so what? I'm curious because so you and your husband are both American. So what do you guys eat on a regular basis there? That's one of the questions I asked everybody. I'm like, what on the daily do you eat? You think you eat more Japanese food, or do you eat other food more?
Well, I think my whole family. I have 3 girls, age 5th grade, 3rd grade, and 1st grade, and they were all born here, and they all prefer Japanese food. In fact, when we were in really struggled with food because they didn't like it. They don't like pizza and hamburgers and stuff like that.
Oh my God, blasphemy!
It was unbelievable. Like they just were just miserable with all the pizza. But so we eat a lot of rice. We eat. I'm not a super great cook, but I can make decent Japanese dishes like nikujaga and
Okay.
things like oyakodon and things like that. I mean, we eat American food. They love tacos, so I'll make tacos a lot.
Love tacos.
But I mean, I really like Japanese vegetables. So like we make a lot of boiled vegetables with like oden and stuff like that. So yeah.
Okay.
I think we eat more Japanese food than American food.
That's awesome. Can you make Japanese curry though? That's the hardest thing ever to make on the whole planet, right?
You mean the kind where you just open up the curry
you
roux
just
and
drop
oh
it
yeah,
in.
yeah. That's not a problem.
Nice. Yeah, I always got to check to see if they can make curry. That's
Oh yeah.
yeah. Do you 'cause so far, like I've interviewed probably about, I don't know what number you are, but it's over 10, and everybody in a row has said that they love Japanese curry and coco ichiban curry. I'm curious, are you one of those people? Or you're like, it's okay, or are you like in love with it?
I like it as long as I can make it really spicy. I prefer spicy like Thai food and Indian food because it has more flavor. But I have some food allergies, so I can't eat curry all that much. But every now and then I can eat it, and if I can make it like a level 4 or 5 or so, I like coco ichiban a lot.
That's awesome. Some other people are like, no, I want to have some flavor to it. But you're like, yep, give me the spice. I need the spice.
Exactly. Yep. If I'm not sweating, it's not hot enough. That's my view.
This is the only way I clear my sinuses when I'm sick. This is the only way. Medicine's for pussies. So what's okay, so now that we got the fluffy things out of there, can you tell me what are some cool places in Fukuoka if I had to put you on the spot for like nature or in the city or even like around where you work? Like what's some cool stuff that you really just kind of sticks out in your brain?
I'm sorry, I missed that last question. I
No,
think you got frozen. Can you say it again?
Oh, Frozen. What are some cool places around Fukuoka that you like to go to, or that you're like, man, that's different from the other place outside of Fukuoka?
Well, there's several places. My favorite place is in Kitakyushu. It's called Hiraodai, and it's just a nature area. There's just beautiful rock formations and hiking paths. And there's also some caves where you can go in and go caving actually, and it's a really beautiful place. And
Wow.
there's play areas for the kids, and there's nearby there's waterfalls, and it's beautiful. My family likes outdoor hiking, and we like to go caving when we get a chance. So that's my number one favorite place in Fukuoka, Ken, probably. I also like to take visitors to Nakasu in Fukuoka City because you can get real authentic tonkotsu ramen there from the food stalls. And it's so authentic. Like they're so impolite. It's like part of the culture, I think, like they see the gaijins coming and like, oh, here we go again. The gaijins are here again, gonna totally like hog the seats and take up all the time and stuff. But it's the authentic experience. So we try to take our friends there, for the authentic tonkotsu ramen. And then in my city of Munakata, it's actually a really great place to live because I'm a country girl through and through, and it's a very rural area. It's got about 96,000 people, but it's very rural. But it's situated right between Fukuoka and Kitakyushu. About an hour. It's about an hour each way. So we're in the boonies. It's a very rural area, but at the same time we can get to Costco or IKEA within 30 minutes. So and there's a lot of parks, a lot of nature areas around Munakata that we really like to go to. So.
That's nice. That's like, so you got like, you're not too far away from everything, but you're far away from everything. So that's
right. It's
a really good balance.
Yeah.
It's like you broke the code in the Matrix or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Two of these things cannot exist, yet they do.
Yeah. It's a perfect place to live in my eyes. Yeah.
It sounds like a really good balance.
Yeah.
So where would somebody who lives in Fukuoka go to either like make friends or like get a boyfriend or girlfriend? Like where can they go to socialize and meet people?
Well, you know,
I know
you know,
you're
I've been
married. I'm saying for your
Yeah.
single friends who are like, oh, I went to that social gathering and it was good, or for your other friends, I'm just curious, like
Yeah, yeah.
because you obviously have friends, so
I
obviously,
hear I hear from my friends who are into the dating
yeah,
and clubbing scene that you would go to, of course, to Tenjin, and in Fukuoka City is
Engine.
this. Yeah, and then in Kitakyushu on the other side would be Kokura, which is the main hub of Kitakyushu. I hear from my friends there's lots of clubs and bars in that area for them to socialize.
So Kokura, is that the name of a bar or is that the name of the area?
Kokura is the name is the main area of Kitakyushu.
Okay.
Kitakyushu actually it used to be 5 different cities and they merged about 50 years ago to form the city of Kitakyushu, and Kokura was the biggest of those. So it's actually the main station of Kitakyushu. It's the Shinkansen stop. If you come to Kyushu, yeah.
Okay. Um, just to clarify, I mean, isn't Kitakyushu the place where like every year during like the coming of age ceremony that all those kids dress up in really flashy clothes and like start fights at the Seijinski and stuff?
I've never heard that, really.
I saw that on TV. They show it like every year in Tokyo. They're like, these kids in Kitakyushu, they're not doing their homework and not eating their kyushoku, and they're going to the Seijinski dressed like Bozuzoku and stuff.
I did see some pictures today of some pretty outrageously dressed kids for the Seijinski. They had on gold hakamas.
Yeah.
I wouldn't doubt it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was just always curious about it because I was like, I asked some other people about it and they're like, yeah, I guess it's not that big. But like then I hear other people and they're like, yeah, like a lot of people dress like that during Seijinski. It's fucking nuts. Kitakyushu has like the most best. I don't know. I just was trying to get that out of the way because I was curious about that. So wait, so that's where we can find for people to make friends and find dating partners, etc. So what's the hardest part about living where you live, where it's like like weather wise or location wise or people, like what, can you tell us some things
Well,
if there are any?
the only thing really I dislike about this area is the weather. It's it's
And
yeah,
the
it's
cold
just
again.
it's just freezing cold. Our house is just super cold, and it's cold in the gyms. It's cold in the schools. It's the really long, difficult rainy season with lots of mold. There's tons of bugs everywhere. I'm from the mountains, and so I love snow, but it's freezing cold, but it never snows, and so I figure it's like totally useless to be like that. So I really struggle with the weather in the winter. I just can't stand it. It's freezing. So
Yeah. Oh, that's I feel you 100%. I mean, I put blankets and like covers on my walls to insulate the place a little bit more, and I use a gas heater. And right now I'm sitting underneath a kotatsu with like a hot water bottle.
I hear you. I'm the same way.
Oh man, but I mean, yeah, I understand. Yeah, the whole not getting snow, but it's super cold feeling. And the mold. Yeah, the mold covered. Like, I didn't know that you're supposed to do that. Like, when I left for a trip one day, like a couple of years ago, I left all my windows closed and like I didn't have curtains on, and then I came back and like my closet had been closed, and just I came in there, there's just mold all over my clothes, and I was like, what? But yeah, mold. You guys got to get the dehumidifiers if you go on vacation or something from Japan, because that's.
Well, I had someone come in every week and air out the place while we were gone, but I guess during rainy season it just wasn't enough. So.
Yeah. Do you now buy those little boxes that dehumidify everything? Yeah. I luckily I haven't had to do that in this house because it's like pretty like what is it, just central. I always have the fan running instead to get circulation. Right. But that's guys, you got to be careful if you live in any place humid here in Japan, that you got to get either like a dehumidifier, which costs electricity, or you could get these little boxes that basically suck the water out of the air while you're in the country. While it's humid in your house. So keep that in mind.
Yep.
So what's the easiest and most fun part about living in Fukuoka?
It's just a really great place to live. It's very cheap to live where I live. The healthcare for the kids is almost free. The food is a lot of vegetables, a lot of fresh fish, a lot of healthy foods. And it's just easy to get around everywhere. I mean, it's just a laid back atmosphere, and there's just, I mean, except for the weather, I can't really think of anything that I dislike about this area at all.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So what's sorry to cut you off like that.
Yeah, no problem.
So well, I guess so what would be the where would the places be? Like I come down to Fukuoka for like 3 days. Where are you gonna take me? Where are you gonna? I'm leaving it all to you, and it's like summertime. Where are you gonna take me?
Well, you definitely got to spend the whole day in Fukuoka City. So you would go at least into Tenjin, which is where all the shopping and the clubs and bars and stuff are there. Then you would also go to Nakasu and have all the food stall experiences there. I would probably take you to Hiraudai and the waterfall over in that area, hiking and caving one day. Perhaps I'll take you to Space World. I don't know if you heard the Space World controversy that was.
What's Space World? Is that like NASA or something? Or
Yes, Space World is the famous. It's pretty famous in Kyushu. It's a huge amusement park here in Kyushu, and they were in the news a couple weeks ago because they bought a bunch of already dead fish and they encased it underneath the ice in the ice skating rink, to try to give the skaters a real sea experience. But a lot of people just were outraged by it was just grotesque for them to imagine that they were skating on top of dead fish. But and actually about 3 weeks after that, the city announced that Space World was closing, which was really it's a really sad thing for this area because it's a really great amusement park and it's open all year round. It's never crowded, and it's just a really popular place for people here to take their kids to the pool in the summer or to ice skating in the winter. So it's kind of a hard thing for the people of Kyushu to deal with, I think, because it's just a really great place.
That's didn't they clarify during the news that those fish were going to be thrown away? And they bought the fish that were they couldn't be sold as food.
Right.
And people still complained about it? Oh my god.
I think it was the psychological thing. It's just kind of grossed people out more than anything. I mean even if fish were already dead, I think the fact that they were skating on top of dead fish kind of just was kind of gross. I don't know.
I understand if it smells bad, but I mean, come on, people, lighten up. Oh man, life's too short.
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, I totally forgot that was in Fukuoka. Wow, well, now we know. If you guys search Fish Rink Japan, you'll find the story that we're talking about.
That's right.
So those are some awesome places to visit. So where is your local hangout when the kids and the husband and everyone's busy, but you don't want to stay at home because it's too cold or too hot? Where can we find you? And don't say work.
No, I won't be at work. I kind of just I'm just a very simple kind of homebody. I don't really like to go out that much. There's a bakery near my university where I actually would always go in the morning. It opens at 7, and I would just hang out on the outside wood deck and drink coffee and read. Now that we've moved away from my university, where we lived for 10 years, I can't go as much. But for me, it's just the bakeries. I'm sure the bakeries in Japan are just totally phenomenal.
Yeah,
the French
awesome.
Bakeries and stuff. So
unless you're looking for other bread besides white bread.
Yeah, exactly.
If you want some sourdough, you're not going to get it in Japan.
Oh, yeah. No, you won't get sourdough or any kind of buttermilk biscuits or anything. But other than that, I just love hanging out at bakeries and just reading. I love to read. I love to write. So that's probably where I'd be. Or I'd be taking a walk out in nature somewhere.
Okay. That's awesome. That's a great answer to that. So so now we're going to learn some more personal tidbits about Fukuoka and Miss Anne over here. So, do you have any fun stories about your time being in that prefecture so far?
Probably the most interesting thing that happened was when I was about a year ago. The city of Munakata actually asked us to be in their PR videos.
Wow.
So they interviewed us for their website about. There's a housing allowance program that they have for families with kids, and so they interviewed us for that. And then they also did a 5-minute video clip. They took us all around the city of Munakata, and they did a half-day a video shoot of my family all around the city. So. And then, a lot of people saw that and made comments. So that was really an exciting thing to be able to participate, because we do feel such a love and a connection for our city. To be able to help them in that way was really exciting.
Do they do that every year, or was it particularly only that year that they did that?
I don't think they've ever done it before. I've never seen it before. I think it was a new PR thing that they were doing. Yeah.
So if somebody types in like Fukuoka PR video foreigners or something, you might pop up.
Maybe if they typed in, my city, which is Munakata, if they type that in, it's possible. Yeah.
Munakata PR video. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna look that up on YouTube later. Okay, awesome. Do you have any other like fun, interesting stories about like maybe like one or two more about Kyushu? Like maybe something happened that you didn't expect that was heartwarming or heart wrenching. Anything interesting out of the blue? Like, that happened.
Well, the people of Japan, I'm sure are just incredibly kind and hospitable, and
Yeah.
especially I've been really moved by a lot of the people here in Kyushu. I mean, there's been times when, like, for example, one time during Golden Week, I forgot to pick up my medication at the pharmacy, and the pharmacy was so worried about me that they brought it over to my house.
Wow. Okay.
During Golden Week, and it was and the pharmacy was closed. The pharmacist just happened to be there, doing something, and he brought it over. And then there was another time when my front door was broken, and the locksmith came over on a Friday night at 10:30.
Oh, wow.
And he fixed my lock with a flashlight, and he was trying to so stuff like that. Just the people here just bend over backwards for you. They'll do anything for you, and they'll just sacrifice. And that's been my best experience about Japan, is just the people. A lot of people criticize Japanese people as being kind of cold and robotic sometimes in their behavior, and you'll get. And you'll get that in customer service a lot. There's not a lot of flexibility, but in general, like, I just find that there's just so much sacrifice and just so much of a giving spirit here, and it just really has been by far my number one positive experience living here.
Yeah, I mean, I love Japan. I love being here. I mean, it's just, I think when people maybe complain or try to say that they're talking about the negative points of Japan, it's like, well, why would you go to Disneyland and get angry because you found like a dog turd in the entrance? It's like, you're in Disneyland. No, I'm going to spend all day and I'm going to look at this and I'm going to tell everybody who walks by that this is what ruined my experience at Japan. And I'm like, dude, like, take yourself out of your box and like, I don't know. But I mean, that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this podcast. I want to spread positivity. If something did happen, hopefully, like if something bad did happen, at least we can like put some perspective in it. So it's not necessarily Japan's fault, or if it was, maybe it's that instance or that person. But I mean, overall, I love living here, and I love the fact that I actually had a video go viral on YouTube, and I didn't even I made it, but some Japanese person took it, subtitled it, and put it on there, and it's like it was me. I don't know. Long story short, I came home and like some people from the neighborhood that recognized me like took me to a party randomly, and I just like in the video I'm crying and be like, oh, Japan, yeah, why? And all these Japanese people are like, oh my god, like, thank you for loving Japan. And I don't know, I think that you get to choose on what you focus on, and I think
exactly.
if you focus on the positivity, especially how people are just so kind, I think that's a very important part of living here, which is funny because it brings me to my next question, which is, you already mentioned some stories of some nice people, that like, the pharmacist and the locksmith. Do you have any other in particular that come to mind that you'd like to mention to everybody about kindness of strangers? Or just anything in general?
Well, I mean, just in general, I've just been, I've had people, bring me entire meals. Right after my third daughter was born, my husband's father died like within a couple of weeks, about a month after my daughter was born. So he had to go back to America. Yeah. So I was left with a 3-year-old, a 1-year-old, and a 1-month-old baby. Mm. And while he was gone, every single day someone brought me dinner, came over and put my kids in the bath, things like that. So it's just, that kind of kindness makes me want to stay here, and just, I think, there's kind of 3 groups of people in Japan. There's the people that think Japan can do no wrong and that everything is just perfect and it's way better than their home country. And then there's people that hate Japan and complain about it all the time and just want to, in my country, blah, blah, blah. And then there's the people like us who live here a long time who have after a long experience have realized that there's good and there's bad everywhere you go, and you just you take the bad, you take the good and you leave the bad, and you just realize that we're a guest here and we can leave if we don't like it. I mean, it's not like we're being prisoners here. I mean,
I love it
if we're
when
not,
people complain like that.
just go home. If you're not happy, leave. I mean,
Yeah, the door's right there. Go.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it sucks. I can't leave. You don't understand.
So,
I haven't been out of that door in so long. When I go out, something might happen. It's all up to you, dude.
and like I think all of us come to a point sometimes where Japan just kind of like it just like something happens that just gets under our skin and we can't handle it, and we'll just go off on a tirade about it. Like, like for example, it's so cold in the gym where my kids practice karate that their feet hurt so bad that they cry sometimes, and like that kind of stuff. I just can't understand it as an American, but at the same time, it's a cultural aspect I think I just can't understand, and so I'm just trying to just to teach myself not to be too critical and judgmental about stuff like that, but I think at the end of the day, I've been here 16 years, so I must love it here. I mean, or I would be gone by now, right?
Right. When you side question though to that, like when you leave, like I sometimes go abroad, and when I do though, I feel more relatable to like Japanese people than I do Americans. And I mean, like, I love being American. I love America. I like going every time I go back, which has only been 2 times in 10 years. But when I did go back, I had a really good time, and it was like I really appreciated where I came from a lot better. But I mean, I'm just so used to being in Japan and mannerisms, and like I just got back from the hospital, and like they were like, "Wow, we're so happy you speak Japanese," and like the lady gave me the form, and she's like, "Can you read that?" I was like, "Are we talking?" And she's like, "Oh, yeah, okay, like just bring it back." And she's like, "You wrote it in kanji." I was like, could you read the hiragana if I wrote it like that? And she's like, no, kanji's better. And I don't know. I was just like, I've been here for like 10 years. Like, I can't, if somebody's been here for 10 years and they can't read it right, I mean, ooh, what are you doing? But, it's,
I think for me, like I told you, in 2014, I went to the U.S. for a year for my work. I really struggled. Like, I was miserable for about a month. I would go into Walmart and I was just like a deer in the headlights. I didn't know what to buy. Everything was so colorful. There was so many, processed this and that everywhere. And I felt like people were just loud and opinionated everywhere I went, and just very selfish and just, but then after about a couple months, I started to really see the good points of America that maybe I'd overlooked. And by the end of the time, I felt like, for the first time in my life, I could see the good and the bad of both countries so clearly and I couldn't really see that before. And I just had, I had so many experiences in the States. Like, I got a kidney stone while I was there, and I didn't have insurance, and you know how that goes.
Oh, God. Yeah.
And so they tried to charge me, $12,000 for a CAT scan, and you can get a CAT scan in Japan for 30,000 yen, even with no health insurance.
Yeah.
So I was shocked by just the outrageousness of that whole system, and at the same time, I was just overwhelmed by gratitude about how great the system is here.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's I after the after leaving the hospital, I was like $10, and she's like, yeah, it's $10. I was like, God damn it, I love the health insurance here.
And they were probably apologizing that you had to pay so much too, right?
Yeah, well, no, I was like, I gotta go. Like, somebody's waiting for me. I gotta go. And they were like, yeah, but they were like, okay, we're sorry. Yeah, we're so sorry to keep you waiting. $10, please. I was like, $10 to see a doctor. I grew up without health insurance back home. Like, I never even went to the doctor as a kid. So, aside from getting vaccinated, but that's about it. So, I take every opportunity to do that. Yeah,
that's by far my favorite thing about living here. Like here in Fukuoka prefecture, in my city of Munakata, we only pay 800 yen per month per hospital for each child. So, and that's unlimited. So, for example, my daughter had a seizure when she was a baby and was hospitalized for a week, and we only paid like $30, like 3,000 yen, I think, when she was discharged.
$30 for a whole week?
Yeah. So it's just amazing. The health system here is just by far the best thing here. Yeah.
Yeah. And come to think of it, when I lived in the countryside, my health insurance was like $10. Wow. It was $10 a month. That's crazy. Yeah. I pay pay a lot more than that now, but it's okay. I live in Tokyo.
And
compromises.
you know, in the rent and the standard of living here is it's just so reasonable that you know you're able to really, you know, like raise a family very comfortably here. I think so.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
leads me into well, that will be a question like maybe one or two from now. But first, I want to say, so we'll ask about work, and then we're gonna talk about like rent wise and working wise here. So
Okay.
so work wise, you said you're working at a university. How do you like it? I mean, what were you doing before that? Do you have any side projects? Like what? And how's your commute? Like, you know, what's just overall working experience? Can you tell us about that?
Well, like I said, I'm an associate professor in an engineering department at a university. I teach English communication courses there, and it's a 30-minute commute by car, which isn't bad at all for me. But there's usually no traffic, so it's not bad. I do research. My research field is Japanese English. You know, words that sound like English but they're not. Like baby bed is their word for a crib, or baby car is a stroller.
Yeah.
My favorite all-time one is pipe cut, which is their word for a vasectomy. Yeah, you can't beat that one. That's their all-time creative. And here you go, like all these people are saying Japanese aren't creative, right? I mean, that's a creative word right there.
Yeah, I guess I never thought about it. Like, is that technically gairaigo, or is that like
Gairaigo.
that's Japanese adapted English words or?
Well, gairaigo is actually the term for all loan words from Western languages, like ice cream or computer. Japanese English is the term for the words that are made in Japan. Words they're not real English words.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
it's a little different. Okay,
a little bit different.
Yeah.
So I do research in that field, and I write papers about that. But I've also written a lot of books about Japanese culture, and I've written one guidebook for foreigners living in Japan to help them navigate daily life with the necessary Japanese and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay, so overall, pretty good experience for work.
Oh yeah, I love my job. I love my students. They contrary to stereotypes, I think in Japan, they come to class almost every week. They don't skip. They do their homework. They're just really good kids.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's totally different from when I worked at a college
Right?
here. Well, I mean, I worked at a college where everyone got kicked out of college, or they couldn't go to the good, like even a decent college, so they came to mine, and I only taught there for about 8 months, and
Oh really?
yeah, they were really. Yeah, it was fun. It was, well, actually, technically, it's a vocational college, right? So senmon gakko. So yeah, they just come and do their makeup in class. But I don't care. I was like, I'm getting paid like 6,000 yen an hour. I don't give I don't give a fuck what you kids are doing. Yeah,
it's good pay. Yeah.
Yeah, it was nice. So what about? Okay, so then I guess, can you tell us about the place that you're living in? Like, how big is it? Like, how many floors is it? Like. And do you like it? Do you not? I know you already talked about like the mold and the cold, but you could just elaborate on it a little bit, and then like tell us about, you know, aside from the mold and the cold, what's good, what's bad, and if you don't mind divulging, how much is the rent per month?
Sure. We live in like I said, a 47-year-old, very traditional Japanese house. It's 2 floors. It's really big, I think, by Japanese standards. We have a dining room, 2 living rooms, and a kitchen, and then a room downstairs and 2 rooms. My children will tell you the thing they hate the most about it is that there's only 1 bathroom. And
Nice.
you know, there's a lot of bugs because there's just a lot of bugs in this area, and the house is old and kind of drafty. So I think there's a lot of stuff like that. But I mean, it's home and we like it. Although we are in the process of buying a house because my husband is a photographer, like I said, and we found a house that has a photo studio attached to it. So
Wow.
we're gonna buy that and we're gonna renovate it. So that's a really exciting thing. We're doing that probably in March. But like the rent and the housing prices here are just really cheap. We pay 70,000 yen a month for rent here.
Wow, that's cheap.
Yeah.
That's cheap for a big house. Wow.
Yeah, and we get my city offers a housing allowance for families with small kids, so they give us 20,000 yen a month for 3 years for housing assistance.
That's awesome.
So,
Hell yeah. Way to
Yeah.
go, Japan. Hell yeah.
And we're buying a house, like a 5,000 square foot house, or in Japanese, 140 tsubo.
Wow, that's pretty
We're
big,
buying,
guys.
yeah, we're buying that, and it's gonna cost. It's about 1,800 man, so that's about 180,000 US dollars.
For a
So
brand new house.
no, it's not brand new.
Or
It's 23 years
renovating.
old.
Okay.
But it's in tip-top shape with a photo studio attached and a huge yard, so it's just crazy cheap. So this area, it's much more if you live in the city. If you live in Hakata City, in Fukuoka, or in Kokura, in Kitakyushu, you'll be paying a lot more. But so a lot of people live in the bed towns. They call them the suburbs.
Yeah.
Like my town of Munakata is considered a bed town. People will live here, and then, like for example, my neighbor, her husband works in Kitakyushu, and she works in Fukuoka. So they live right in the middle, and then they just commute every day to their respective locations. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you're what is it for that house though? Okay, and how long have you lived in that house though for? Sorry, you said that earlier. I forgot.
We've been here almost 3 years. Before, when we lived in Kitakyushu, we lived in a house the same size, and it was 100,000 yen a month, so Juman.
Okay.
So the housing prices are cheaper here, but it's, like I said, it's drafty and it's got a lot of bugs. There's been several times I've stepped on slugs in the middle of the night, when I go up to go to the bathroom and stuff like that.
Yay! Oh God.
And I mean, I've kind of learned to deal with it. It still grosses my kids out, I think, when they see slugs in the bath and stuff. But it's it is what it is. It's old, and it's cheap, and so it's huge, which is what we love. I mean, it's really big, and it's home.
So what's okay, and then I had another question about the home, but what is it? I can't remember. Oh, it said oh yeah, this is the big one though. This is the kicker, guys, because this is very important, which determines the rent. How far are you from the nearest train station though?
Right now it's not far at all. It's about a 10-minute walk.
What? Okay, well, got special system or special case thing, guys. Even like 10 minutes away from the train, and wow, okay, that's awesome.
And actually, I was told, like, when I told my friends how much our rent was, they're like, "Wow, that's expensive. That must be because you live near the station." So apparently, this is expensive rent for this area.
Obviously, you're breaking the bank every month with that rent. Yeah.
Well, my brother used to live in Jigaoka in Tokyo, and his rent was like 48 man a month or something like that.
That's
so
rare. That's super rare for Tokyo.
Yeah, right. I mean, it was a really ritzy area, so.
Yeah, that's like, I mean, now to even get an apartment in there is probably like Hachiman, like 80,000 yen or so.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, like my house here is about like 150,000 a month, and that's a nice, pretty penny. But I have roommates though, so it makes it easier. Good. Yeah. So what's so I guess I have two final questions here, and the second to last one is: would you recommend somebody lives in Fukuoka? Why not?
Well, I guess it really depends on your personality and what you like to do. I mean, like some people are, they like the country and some like the city, and so, once you figure out like which one you are, I mean, I've heard people that love living in Tenjin and in Hakata, inside Fukuoka City. They just love the nightlife, and they love the hustle and bustle and the busyness. There, it's not super expensive, I don't think, probably compared to like living in Osaka or Tokyo, but it's exciting. I mean, there's all you can get a lot of American restaurants there if you like that. There's lots of bars and clubs and shopping, stuff like that. And also, there's a lot of the same kind of stuff in Kokura, in the city of Kitakyushu. I prefer the rural life because that's how I was brought up. I was brought up in the mountains of Virginia. But I also like having access to shopping. I like having access. It takes me 30 minutes to get to Costco in Kitakyushu, and it takes me 30 minutes to get to IKEA in Shingu City, which so there's big hospitals 10 minutes away. There's big shopping areas 10 minutes away. So, but at the same time, there's poisonous bees and insects and stuff because it's so rural. So for me, because of my personality, I think where I live is almost it's almost paradise for me. I mean, I can't really think of anything anywhere else in Japan I would rather live. I love my city very much. I'm very, very, I don't ever want to leave. Even if I got hired at the University of Tokyo, I don't think I would leave because I'm so just happy in this city. So, yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome to hear. So well, I mean, that would kind of brings me to the last question, which is, what are your future plans? I guess I was going to say, our future plans, are you going back to America? Are you staying in Japan? I mean, I'm going to die in Japan. I love Japan. I'm going to have a nice gravestone next to Mr. Abe over there, and it's going to be sweet. Yeah.
Well, my whole family 2 years ago got permanent residency. And so I think,
awesome.
Yeah, we got permanent residency, and we're going to buy a house, obviously. So we have no plans to leave. We're very invested in this area. We have a church that we go to, and we love our family there. And we've got friends in our neighborhood and the kids' schools. And I mean, we really can't think of any reason we would go back. I mean, it's not like I'm kind of like you. I'm not one of these foreigners that just hates their home country and just loves Japan. I really love both of them very much, and I'm very thankful from where I came from, and I'm very thankful for where I am. And every time I go back to the States, I just have a great time seeing my family and going to Taco Bell and all that kind of stuff. But and so
Taco Bell, yes. Yeah. I love Taco Bell.
I hear you guys have Taco Bell in Tokyo now, huh?
It's not the same. Taco Bell is supposed to be cheap and fast, and that place is expensive and slow, really slow.
What about the food? Is it the same?
No, like they put the sauce on for you, and they put way too much.
Oh no,
and it's too nice.
Don't tell me that.
It looks too nice. And no, you got to get some friends on the army bases or Navy and air bases. That's what I do to get the real Taco Bell. Get my fix. But okay, sorry I cut you off there. But the American stuff.
So it's nice to go back. And it's hard being away from family. Of course, I'm very close to my family in the States, but like you said, this is where you want to die, and this is your home. That's exactly how we feel. I mean, it's hard on my kids sometimes because when we went to America and they were in American schools, that was their first experience ever to go to an American school because they were born and raised here. And so for the first time in their lives, they had a comparison point.
Yeah.
They're like, oh gosh, you can wear earrings in America, and you can paint your fingernails, and you can dye your hair purple in elementary school, and in the food was just different and everything, and there was just the freedom that they'd never experienced here. So it's hard sometimes. Like they'll say to me, "Mommy, how come we have to stay here? I miss my friends, Mommy." And that's hard, but I think they understand that this is our home, and they're happy here too, I think. But it's hard sometimes.
Yeah, but I mean overall I think the kids have American citizenship though, so when they grow up they have the choice to go back home or stay there.
Exactly.
Right? So
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome. Super mama. Oh yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
So I guess this is so guys, this is the ending part of the podcast, and where I let the guest plug whatever they want to plug, regardless of if it's their business, favorite charity, whatever. This is your chance to shine, and please tell everybody what you need, what they should be getting from you.
Well, I've written about 11 books. Most of them are about Japanese culture. They're all available on Amazon Japan and Amazon US. So just Google my name, Anne Crescini. My whole goal in writing is to write a balanced view of Japan, to talk about the good and the bad. I think there's not a lot of balanced books out there, so I use a lot of my experiences. A lot of my books are written to help people, for example, there's not a lot of books out there about stuff like having a baby in Japan, or putting your kids in Japanese preschools, or getting your hair cut, or the education system, or things like that. So I've tried to write a lot about the experiences that I've had. And I continue to have, as I get older, having kids in the school system, things that I've never experienced before, like the crazy PTA system and things like that, And I also blog on a regular basis about Japanese culture. My website is annecrescini.com, so you can find information about my books and my blog there. Mainly my goal is I just want people to love Japan and to see Japan like I do. But at the same time, realize it's not a perfect place, but it's somewhere that is taking us us, and it's, you know, like we're guests and we need to love it and respect it. And lastly, I'd like to plug my hubby. He's a great world-class, international award-winning photographer. His name is Riz, R-I-Z, Crescini, and you can find him on Facebook, or he's got a Facebook page called Riz Crescini Photographer. He went up actually to Tohoku after the earthquake and to help with photography for fundraising. And a couple of the pictures he took there won international photography awards.
Wow.
So he's actually, and he also went down to Kumamoto after the earthquake, and he did a lot of volunteer photography there as well. So he's actually gonna, he does freelance photography now, but he's actually gonna open his studio. He does weddings and studio photography, and he's like, you know, Shichigo-san, Miyamaidi, like all that kind of stuff. So
oh wow, so he's gonna be one of those guys that not only is like, they'll have no idea if they go and get their Shichigo-san pictures taken, that it's like he took award-winning pictures of like historical events in Japan.
Yeah, he's an amazing guy, and he, you know, like he'll do anything. Like he'll go anywhere with his clients. He went to Guam a couple of years ago to photograph a wedding. He'll do sports photography. He'll do Shichigo-san, he'll do weddings. But he just really loves to photograph Japanese people, but he also does foreigners as well if they ask him for his services. So yeah, I'm very, very proud of him. He's come a long way and since he started his career.
That's awesome. Yeah, guys, if you for whatever reason did not hear any of that stuff, I heard it. But in case you want to just double check, all the links for all the places that she mentioned are going to be down in the description down below. And I'd like to thank Miss Anne for coming out tonight and spending time right before she has to pick up her kids from karate to come for this. And and just last minute to plug in my stuff too. This podcast is brought to you guys by the awesome supporters. I have TkyoSam supporters at my website. What's awesome? What is it? It's YouTube, TkyoSam, but also for my awesome supporters over at Patreon for TkyoSam's Patreon, patreon.com/TkyoSam. And yeah, if you guys have any further questions for Anne, please write them down in the comment section below if you're seeing this on Facebook or YouTube. And if there's a lot of questions, if there's enough questions, hopefully we'll get Anne back here for season 2 or season 3.
I would love that.
That's awesome. Thanks so much, Anne.
Thank you.
Okay, boom. Stop recording. Hey everybody, just some last minute announcements. If you're not already doing it, please consider following us on social media, links down below. Big thank you to everybody who clicked on the podcast to listen today. Do us a favor, and if you liked this podcast, help us grow by smashing that like button, subscribe button, and subscribe bell to get notified when the new podcast comes out. Did you learn something new on today's podcast? Do you want to hear more? Which out of these 3 prefectures should we do a podcast on next? Let us know by emailing us at TkyoSam@gmail.com. If you are listening to this in your car and you want to conserve your phone data, consider following us on the other podcast platforms. We are currently on iTunes, Spotify, and SoundCloud. Links down below. Like always, this wouldn't be a TkyoSam production without giving a special sweet thank you / shout out to all of the TkyoSam fam who support us over on patreon.com/TkyoSam. Without your support, this podcast would be much harder to produce. Thank you all so much for the support. That's it for this month's Prefecture podcast. What did you think of it? Good, bad? Let us know in the comment section down below. Finally, we are always looking for new people to interview on this podcast. If you check out the video description below, you can find out what prefecture we still need to find people to interview for. If you know somebody, let us know by emailing us at TkyoSam@gmail.com. Like always, this has been the Where Come From Japan podcast. Thank you all for watching, and most importantly, stay black.